So how did that go? Do you feel like you have a handle on kind of your vibe and what that is, that you can literally boil down to a couple sentences? Because if you do, every single decision is going to link to those things. That's kind of like the bedrock. If I was just going to remember one or two things about you, what are those? Is that one, or are those two, three things about you? Next, I want to go back to the story of when I was creating the Sharpies. This is an important part. I didn't intend it to be an important part, but without this piece, I don't think I ever would have figured this out. When we were first starting off doing the Sharpies, as I mentioned in the first module, I learned about this gang in Southern Australia, in Melbourne, called the Sharpies. And one of the things, they did a number of things that I love, and one of the things was, of course, they were sharp dressers. I like that they cared about that, so we gave some thought to that. And the other thing was they had gang names. This is not a new thing. Gang names are common. Even actors and musicians change their names. So for us, especially trying to do something new and to keep it to keep it fun, it actually got a little bit ridiculous. Because we not only did we change names, but we started making up stories about how we were from this little town in Texas and how we grew up in two school buses, but not two school buses like driving around, two school buses welded together into a home, and we didn't know who our mom and dad was, and it was really fun at the time. And I'm not encouraging you to make up stories that aren't true. Okay, none of that is what this is about. And none of that helped me overcome my fear of being on stage and being on camera either. But the name was important because it allowed me to hang this vibe and this feeling onto a different name. We identify ourselves by our name. When you say, if you think of maybe your mother or father, or maybe your best friend, your significant other, when you say their name, boom, you get a bunch of feelings. A bunch of feelings associated with that are either positive or negative. You could say it's a thought, but I think it's more accurate to say that it's a feeling. You feel, maybe warm and fuzzy. You might feel angry. You might feel irritated. It could be a number of things based on your experience. But that is linked to a name. And so right now, it's time for you to think up a different name for your alter ego. Not your name, a different name. Now, some people might be a little resistant. Oh no, I don't want to do a different name. Or they might think, well, I like my name. I like me. I like who I am. I don't want to change my name. I totally get it. I don't want you to change your name either. But here's the thing. This isn't for other people. All right, this is for you. This is a name, a different name than you, that you can link all of these feelings to. These feelings, and when I say feeling, this alter ego. So, and you'll understand more as we go on. Right now, we're just going to pick a name. For me, when I was picking Sharpies, I laugh every time I think about it because it was so fun and ridiculous and great. But so we were thinking, okay, we have a band called the Sharpies. What would be fun to do? Of course, we're going to be the Sharp Brothers. That's fun. And literally, it was as simple as, what is a good first name that would go well with Sharp? Seth. It came really, really quickly. So that's how I picked Seth Sharp. There was another reason too. Because I was born as Nils McQuarrie, a lot of people hear that and think, whoa, that's a great name. Why would you change this interesting name Remember, that was my thing when I was doing the indie band. Why would you change that into Seth Sharp? Also a good name, but a lot of people don't understand. One of the reasons was because part of the being fun, one piece of that was being accessible. And what I mean by that is I wanted to be seen as the easygoing guy next door. The guy who, happy, friendly, who, it's easy to have a conversation with, not intimidating, call him anytime, go get a beer, down to earth. That was more the kind of vibe that I wanted when I thought about the Sharpies. And that's tougher, and we were playing in the United States, that's tougher to do with a name like Nils McQuarrie. It's suddenly, what does Nils mean? Most people in the States really struggle with that name. It's only 4 letters. Oh man, but they struggle. I get it, it's from a different culture. So I didn't want that. I wanted it to be easily remembered. And I didn't want any things to come up like, oh, this person is different than me. So that was also part of the reason that I chose Seth. The exercise for this module is called All in a Name. What we want to do is we want to come up with another name, a different name than what we use. I have literally never heard of an artist or sports figure that's gotten really huge or that has successfully used that didn't have a separate name. Now, some people might balk in this and say, I like my own name. That's fine. You can keep your own name. In fact, you don't even need to tell anybody this name. It can be like you can literally just you use it for yourself internally. Remember, we're short-circuiting, or not short-circuiting. This is kind of a hack or a shortcut that allows us to totally overcome our fears in seconds when you get it down. So come up with a different name. Now, it doesn't have to be super different. I know someone who's done it as close as maybe the difference between, maybe they go by Billy normally and their alter ego name is Bill. What's important is that Bill feels different to them. So like my dad, my my mom would sometimes call him Michael, but when she was mad at him, she'd call him Mike. And he hated that. Michael and Mike were completely different for him. So they just had a different feeling. It was just not the same. So for me, when I did it, my name is Nils, Swedish. I went with Seth, very different. But like Seth, I felt like I could be that. That resonated with me. So that's the first thing. We're gonna have a new name, and the name has to resonate with you. You have to feel like, yes, I can embody and I can be this person, and this person is different than who I am normally. So that's the first thing. The reason why this is important is because part of what we're going to do is we're going to take everything that you've learned as we create this alter ego, we're going to take that and we're going to attach it to that name. That name will represent for you the combination of all of these things. So that when you say that name, and I am your name, in my case, I am Seth. When I am Seth, it loads all these different things into me and who I am. I don't need to remember, breathe, look at the audience, relax. It just comes with the territory of what it means to be Seth. So go ahead and do that. Hopefully that's clear. Go ahead and do that now. I gave you space in the exercise to come up with a bunch of options. I think I gave you space for 10. And then just pick one. Pick one that works good for you. You can totally change it later,
But at least for now, let's pick something that you can go by that resonates with you.